sat down and you attacked the master teacher because you thought you heard something that you didn't hear. That's the first violation. You don't come in. First of all, you come in and you act like you come in peace, but you don't. You got an agenda.
Moors are men upright, independent and fearless. Dogmatized dirty Moors, tongues cut out left earless, cause they never listen. Dirty Moors, keep up your slander. Wu-Tang torture in your ass, hot hangers. Kidnapper, dirty Moor, torture him like Saw. 3D, 0.5 or 1 through 4. Or get it like 5 or 6 with a fez on jigsaw. Leather face in a turban, rip dirty Moor's lips off. Disrespecting the mother Raz Mariah Bay. Wrap him up like double crochet, the barbed wire way. Throw him off a bridge or feed him to the piranhas. Yellow journalists more spread nothing but propaganda. Idi Amin Bey, treat the temple like Uganda. Dirty Moors like foreigners, crush the dust like ganja. Not worthy of being Moors, we call them dirty Nehesus. Solomon Seal spell command 72 demons to get you.
This is what the temple guys actually said. That Canaanland is not a part of North America. Canaanland is bigger. Yo, it's ignorant, man. I mean, come on, you're talking about the same landmass. Canaanland is actually bigger than the landmass they know is the corporate United States. Almost twice as big. And if they had any sense, they could just go to Google and they can type in North America and find out North America goes all the way up to Greenland. But they're ignorant. They don't want to do that. They just dealing off emotion.
You might hear hoarse voices, see frog faces, and who's for feet. Demons we run with, spit fire with gold wolf teeth. Keep playing, forget back teeth, new Moors are an issue. Get Ginsu, maybe a dream visit from Vishnu, a nightmare to never end and always continue. Cold as an igloo, dealing with my trust issues through vigilance. Active Moors are militants, SPLC dirty Moors call that sovereign citizen. Lying for views, they notice all the empty pews. Benz need gas and fixing, but not enough dues. Pigpen Bays sell you out for peanuts, claiming that we nuts for teaching birthright street level, keeping it beat nuts.
To any members of the MFTA that's out there listening to what I'm saying, please get it through your head. I don't have a problem with the MFTA. I got issues with
Kendrick Lamar, stay surrounded by feathers. Dirty's guilty of fraud if Drew Ali scrutinized their ledgers. Getting proclamations from Morocco, disrespect us. Corporate city only recognize people's court jesters. Hand in their back, Moorish puppets and minions. Never get the human rights recognition like Moors near Virginia. Commonwealth, for active Moors knowledge, the Commonwealth. Dirties claim more, but really on the straw man health. Authenticating a birth certificate, that's not significant. Civil little more two status syndicates. In more face, watch them two more status Indians claiming Turtle Island are lying, so intricate.
long days and long nights. But this message needed to be heard.
Standing on the rock, Morocco, here we go, Moabite Mo, Grand Shit Cujo. Let's flow.
Up from the grave, no longer in the dead state. Colonization claimed my consciousness, but now I'm awake. Broke the chains of being ignorant, I stand on the truth. Competent, in my proper person, rocking the boot. Navigating through the waters and the leadable rights. The 7 seas, all I sent me, so I'm bringing the light. Can't rewind the hands of time, so I'm expanding my space. I'm from one human family, the human race. My pedigree is in my blood, I'm forever a Moor. Asiatic, mobile bite, and I'm ready for war. She redeems when I'm speaking, I'm speaking to me. Assisting and helping uplifting fallen humanity. For the record, on the record, neither Negro or black or troglodyte. My people suffering, we only attack. My people perish from true knowledge, we so desperately lack. So why in the hell would I want to go back? No. Can't go back to that. I'm on the left, you on the right, and the light. Melanated radiation is bright.
Yeah, we don't regress but progress. Crystals back and no stress. With the feds and not liberate the mind's oppressed. Staring at a wall in a hole, show you a ladder. Which is not a thing you climb, but your 7 chakras. Ask Jacob, 5 up, assalamu alaikum. Left foot first, so standing on the square, take 'em. The opposite of get out black holes into life so marvelous. You get scared from fright. False and light, to net appears real, you just might sit the trap, can't move, just paralyzed. Paralysis that you only get if you sleep. Your heights are so deep, The depths are so deep, intelligent hoodlums that arrest the presidency. 2 shots for drink champs, Nori knows Drew Ali. Calling Yasin Bey most deaf, you think like the colonists. Even though Nostradamus told you what your problem is.
Can't go back to that. Been a slave of my mentality. Broke the chain that were bound to me. Listen to me now. Can't go back to that. I'm on the left, you're on the right, and the left. Melanated radiation is bright. Can't go back to that. Been a slave of my mentality. Broke the chain that were bound to me. Listen to me now. Can't go back to that. I'm on the left, you're on the right, and the left. Melanated radiation is bright. I rise to give honors to Allah, the father of the universe, to Noble Drew Ali, to Grand Sheik, Cujo Awo El, for sharing this mic with me, Temple number 5, to my son, my firstborn, for producing this track, Hassani Mosa, also known as Preach to God, and to DJ Funk Daddy, the best in the West, Washington Republic, and to my emperor, Islamism.
This, more land, not the matrix. Tricks, Lord's plan versus the ape wits. Writs of discovery affidavit, this is not mobland, uno breast that we suffer, uno nest, un flesh that we come through. Keep 6 from who? Dirty Moors in the mix, selling packages for the nation. It's part and partial. Ask them where you going, Satan. To a cold college. Wanna blackmail you to do something positive. In the black market, CEOs are foreigners. On Black Friday, see them pile up, no one going in. Move like a spit like a cobra while they super lift like a vulture. With losers, there's no winners. I stand on the queue, not a 2D thirst who's overseeing the fuse. Could easily diffuse, but refuse. They put you in the unung sanctum. Bulla, I'm not talking sweet, tell you the whole shit. You go to sleep. Unung sanctum fight. Unung sanctum breakfast fight. Love truth for how you get peace when it's my fight. Unung sanctum color of flies. Unung sanctum fight. Unung sanctum, picnic fight. Unung sanctum fight. Picnic fight. Unung sanctum fight. Unung sanctum, breakfast fight. Love truth, but how you get peace when it's my part. Unung sanctum, color applies. Picnic fight. Black. Say you picnic fight. Black. What? Been a long time, you ain't wised up. Are you innocent when you're living with the sin? Slap life in the dead meat, trap you niggas in. Black be the sunshine, new era that we in is back from time immemorial. Be us, won't turn the first page to read the cover. So judge not, silly Billy, always doing what Simon says up on Morocco, not Barack. O.B. Bush or Trump B, gonna make the country great again. Cool, 1861. Put back on the 6th convention by the noble Jews saying it's been a long time since you low and high you meet again. The yin with the yang, the woo man's womb, where humanity is bloomed, gradually you bloom. Come out to daddy, join the rank you would gladly, connotatively with family. No color applies. Just want a little toke. I smoke, yeah. Nigga, I burn the marijuana and they won't book me for that. See me on the streets, here they come, here they at. Stroll around the corner, hands in the hood with a gat. They won't book me for that. Won't bag me for that. Undercovers come up to me, ask me for crack. Not protect and to serve. That's provoking the act. They won't book me for that. They won't bag me for that. But the man in ties, they just look at me back. I burn the marijuana and they won't book me for that. Is it the rich that is mean or the ways that you stack? Or the pigmentation of his skin, he's black. Like they won't book me for that. They won't bag me for that. Ain't even speeding, I'm doing my limit. Can't be taxed, it's illegal. System structured, so you can't be rich. God is breathing mustard. My brain's blue from the smoke. Ponics, human product. Illumines force light, they call simulate. The devil used man to try to make life, cause God wouldn't tell him, condemn him, spell him. God gave us the seed to reproduce till Mother Earth is full. So in the mean, I burn the marijuana and they won't book me for that. See me on the streets, here they come, here they at. Stroll around the corner, hands in the hood with the gats. They won't book me for that. Where the good people at? Motherfuckers come up to me, ask me for crack. Protect them to serve. That's provoking the act. They won't book me for that. They won't back me for that. But a man in ties, they just look at me back because they think I'm black. Nah, man. Bruh. Something like that.
Marijuana, yo, it calm me. I don't know why they always on me. Burn it in a king for me. If you stop us, we put it out calmly. Officer, where's your authority? To impede a national on her land or his seas. How I love the sense of me. Burn it idle, no grabber in my weed. We check out the stems and seeds. Rolling while I'm rolling, that's a regular tendency. No man beat the NC, but me some bubble roots or some ganja tea. I take 2 shots for my enemy. Envious bad mind with the jealousy. But on the nothing we are the remedy. Chef in Zanga bit, we mastered the recipe. Watch this roll, yeah, it's a masterpiece. I don't care who sees, I burn my herb in the streets. The cushion thing is always on me. Few times the pussy them try swami, intelligent tone. I tell them calmly, I'm MIA, Moorish Imperial Army. Mind what you say, might rub me wrongly, matter in me eye. I bury and beef, me no even brush me teeth. Me want me some beef, me no get a split with bun, me get drunk.
Marijuana and they won't book me for that. See me on the streets, here they come, here they at. Stroll around the corner, friends in the hood with a gat. They won't book me for that. Won't bag me for that. Undercovers come up to me, ask me for cracks. Not protect and to serve. That's provoking the act. They won't book me for that. They won't bag me for that. But the man in ties, they just look at me back. I burn the marijuana and they won't book me for that. Is it the rich that is mean or the ways that you stack? Or the pigmentation of his skin, he's black. Like they won't book me for that. Won't bag me for that. Yeah.
And conscious means that you're conscious of what's going on in this world. You're fully aware and awake to what's going on in this world. That's what conscious rap means. So if you got conscious rap, that means you got unconscious rap. That means you got motherfuckers that's unconscious rapping. That means they sleeping. They still under the spell of Leviathan. They still under the spell of King.
Call me brother man, I'm not the rubber man. Though I keep my Nazis in affairs wrapped with some rubber bands. Burning out the Ku Klux Klan and Wizard Grand Dairy Queen misters. Just butts of guns I'm giving. Trying to make more sovereign citizens. These minions help kill your prophet, stole your treasury millions. You heard it from your brother man. Now the smother sellout. Sets links in K2 Kush days. Keep me red out. I got the knowledge to make these silly hoes question the pimping directors of music videos. Gay laws and verses with strap-on boots with heels. Too much graphic art art faces. Boobs are not real. Since MCM and Troop, they use Timberland boots to get us all caught up in fashion, not the simple men roots. Got our people on dogmatic, not metaphysic. Exoteric, not esoteric is how you missed it. So out of it, you couldn't feel the natural mystic blowing through the air like it didn't give a shit. I hear the dirty Moors dissing, cause I said profanities. A lot of these grand cheeks need to take off the panties. Pull the thong out your crack vest wearing sash ass nigga. Return to where the prophet found you, Negro, what's that nigga?
It's time to choose a side. You either positive or you negative. You either evil or you good. You understand what I'm saying? Choose a side, nigga. I know what side I'm on.
I throw a Molotov at the priest that works for the beast. All they want is our people to rest in peace. No attention of allowing more stress to ease. Cracker won't go home to spread himself the disease. Genocidal epidemic kill us in high proportions. Instead of mummified, we stay boxing coffins. Mayors attend funerals for PR purposes. Where's the police escort? He replied with nervousness. He said, I don't have those numbers or connections to have Metro Police lead your friend's funeral procession. That's coming from Mr. Mayor, black community player. No question in the hoods dropping off boxes of weapons. Then blame black on black crime or natural causes. Plus those doctors aren't out on point but off a bit. Natural mystics prove they're not holistic. Hypocrite oaths make your children autistic.
I'm at the point now where I'm saying I'm tired of mixing the medicine with the food. I'm tired of playing that game. Now I'm shoving straight medicine down your fucking throat, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Straight doses of medicine and getting shoved down your throat. I don't give a fuck if it turns you off or not. Because if it do turn you off, then you're a stupid, ignorant motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
Don't judge like a cover of your favorite book. Visit you in your dreams, hand with the hook. Paralysis overtook. So shook, stop, look, listen with precision. MC on a mission, vision. Past senses and endless. Cipher with active Moors, beat you with facts senseless. Have your mind defenseless when the truth enters. Eyes glow. Reminds me of Omar Bay, Algonquin embers. Tap your pioneer out what some man remembers. All the lies told to your mind dismembered. Circle broken into quadrants, you the seven in the center. Compass G between the square. Baphomet of Templars. Warlock, call on my witch mothers to maim them. The same wise spirits burned at stakes in Salem. Torture with vagina peers survive, bobbing for apples. Contort thumb slide, wrist out, tight shackles.
Islam, Moors. Peace and love to all the Moors worldwide. Give honors to Allah, honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and honors to all the Moors who know that they're Moors. Islam, peace and love. So, I love the fact that Moors actually apply and they study. Moors study. So Moors sent this one. Muslims of color issue call for unity. These are your leaders right here. These are the sellouts that you call your leaders. So, these are them. These are your clown leaders who have sold you out to the highest bidder for fame and nobility instead of just riding with Noble Drew Ali. They want to play popularity contests. These sellouts are going to keep doing what they do. What are you going to do? Moors already know what's supposed to get done. That's why we did it. That's why we say we're Moors. And we don't play this dumb game that these people play with you. We're very serious about our position as Moors. Because like I said in the beginning, we give honors to Noble Drew Ali. We give supreme honors to him. He's the only one that came and told us that we're not Negro, black, or colored. Told us we're not Negro, black, colored. Remember, this is May 8th, 2019. This is right now. This is how these people think right now that are leading you. This is how they think right now. All the sellouts are going to be clapping at the stuff and all that stuff because, yeah, it's for unity of the people. When they're playing games, it's very obvious if you study. We know more study. I know because I get the calls. I get the calls from Moors. Got a call today because I was returning calls from me yesterday's checking the voicemail. And Moors always are calling. And Moors are always calling to know more. They were doing some studying and they found out about whatever like that. And we heard about Moors and seen a Taj video, and I was like, oh, I gotta find out. So they're returning home. They're returning home. One of the issues is that these people keep looking at these fake leaders. The only leader is Noble Drew Ali. There's no other leader for our people. His lessons and what he brought, that's it. And anybody who's talking like he was talking. So Noble Drew Ali told these Moors in the 1920s that they're not Negro black colored. Here they are today, May 8th, 2019. Don't blame the European. Blame your Negro sellout leaders who sold you out because they know that you're Moors. If they're Muslim, trust me, they know that you're Moors. If they're Muslim, they do Salat, they just did Ramadan and stuff like that. Trust me, they know that you're Moors. They're playing you. So we go to the white man's dictionary. This version is Black's Law, 4th edition, revised. Page 331, page 7. Page 7 now. Noble Drew Ali said we're not Negro, black, or colored. Colored is on page 7 in Black's Law Dictionary, 331. Then look at the cover of the Holy Quran or Moorish Science Temple, Moorish Holy Temple of Science. What do you see there? 7. And you go to Brother Yusuf Matadi L's page and go watch the video about 7. See how real it is when Moors talk. Forget anybody else, because we're telling you right now that these people are fraud. Facts. And none of these other leaders are going to tell you like this, because if they tell you like this, then you're going to stop chasing them too, because they should be telling you this too. Not just the dirty bastards, but the ones who, aren't openly dirty bastards, but they're dirty bastards. They're coming out here trying to teach you something. They know the truth about nationality and birthrights. And they're not exercising as Moors completely. They're still dibble dabbling in the Negro black color. An appearance, semblance, or simulacrum as distinguished from that which is real. Muslims of color, Muslims of appearance, Muslims of semblance, Muslims of simulacrum, Muslims as distinguished from that which is real. A prima facie or apparent right, hence a deceptive appearance, a plausible, assumed exterior, concealing a lack of reality. Muslims of concealing a lack of reality. Muslims of an assumed exterior. Muslims of a disguise or a pretense. Pretext are calling for unity. How's an appearance calling for unity? How something as distinguished from that which is real calling for unity? How? Remember, these are your sellout leaders. Muslims from the Nation of Islam, the Moorish Science Temple, joined Sunni Muslims and 4 other groups on the eve of Ramadan for a historic summit to close the gap in terms of their beliefs. Imam Yahya Muhammad convened the meeting at the Diyanet Center of America in Lanham, Maryland. As he stood in the theater of the Diyanet Center of America in Lanham, Imam Yahya Muhammad looked across a room filled with Muslims of color from many backgrounds and paused to wipe a tear from his eye. Muslims of color? Color. An appearance, a semblance. Remember, they're purposely saying Muslims of color. This is not some generic thing that they're saying. They're purposely saying Muslims of color. What do you mean by that? What are you really trying to say about these Muslims? Oh, their skin is brown. Well, Pakistani's skin is brown. They're Muslim, and you don't call them Muslims of color. Matter of fact, I've seen some people from the Philippines. They're Muslim. Their skin's brown, but you don't call them Muslims of color. And everybody who I see on this stage right here, they pretty much look like Asiatic of America. Pretty much look like an Asiatic of America. So if there's Moors up there, why would they call this Muslims of color if there's Moors up there who know they're not Negro black colored? Now we're Moors. Nobody really told Moors that we have a nationality. I have a nationality, Moorish American. Descendants of Moroccans born in America. And he taught that you're not Negro black colored or Ethiopian. This is in the divine constitution and bylaws of the Moorish Science Temple of America, which is the laws. Now, Cujo can't say shit or whatever, but these guys could be on stage representing Muslims of color and nobody's not charging them with treason? What you mean you're Muslims of color? The hell are you talking about? Unity of what? And you're saying you're a color? I know that's violation. That's call up on charges. That's a clear violation of Act 6. Clear violation. Clear violation of Act 1. They're empowered to make law and enforce law, and they're enforcing, calling for unity as colored Muslims, and they're Moorish Americans. You thought, oh yeah, the sellout's real. You thought the sellout was fake? Huh, you're playing yourself. You think the sellout is fake? The sellout is real. This is your birthright that they're throwing under the bus as grand sheiks or whoever. Because they have to be grand sheiks to be on the stage and all that stuff. You know, Temple Moore, that's not a grand whatever, is going to be on this stage just call for him, because you already see that the man who's at the podium is an imam. Why is he going to be on stage with nobodies? Remember, they don't do the thing like how we do. Like, you know, anybody come on our platform and talk, you know, you play titles. You got info? Hey, yeah, you can say something. Let's build on it. Why not? We don't play the title game because we already know the priesthood is dead. But the priesthood is alive and well when you have ignorance running rampant. When you have incompetence running rampant, yes, the priesthood is alive. And they're at the podium. They're at the podium. They're on the stage. These are Moorish Americans riding under a color banner for some unity. I don't want to hear the BS about, oh yeah, when we were in the back, we talked about really what this is about. Forget all that BS. Selling off people's birthright. You know how many children where I work, because their parents are dumbasses, that we have to save them. People want to go jump off bridges and all type of stuff like that, and we have to save them. People with no title, people just out here who are being examples as to really what this is about when we say that we're Moors. Not about being on some stage with some colored people talking about unity. Because remember, if they're playing club game, they sold out everybody in their temple, whoever's on this stage or whatever. They never just sold out themselves. Remember, they're playing club game. So that's the representative of whatever temple. That's not Moors. Like, you know, we don't. That's why we're gonna put something out on this or whatever, because we're not colored. So don't you dare. European doesn't even freaking say that we're colored. Selling out for nothing at all. Just for the fame and nobility. That's all. Be the ones that saved the black race from the whatever. What the hell are you talking about? We're Moors. What do you mean? Muhammad was looking for the realization of a dream, to have brothers and sisters from the Nation of Islam, Moorish Science, Sunni, and several other groups seated as one to talk about closing the gap and healing differences that have divided them for decades. Calling yourself colored is what's dividing you for decades. Calling yourself black, calling yourself Negro, not having a nationality, that's what has the people not realizing anything. There's no unity between the Nation of Islam and the Moorish and the da-da-da, and then all of us are Moors. What are you talking about? What do you mean divided for decades? Divided for decades because people stopped following Noble Drew Ali's teachings. The hell do you mean? Like something made us be divided. It doesn't make us be divided. We got a nationality called Moorish American. All your leaders sold you out, started calling you colored. Still in 2019, they're calling you colored today. Your leaders tearing their eye and all that type of stuff when they're calling you colored, which means you're a semblance. This is your leaders. This is the Imam talking. This is the Imam talking. His name's Muhammad. Do you understand what is going on here with these people and their priesthood powers? This is not a game. Listen, the same thing that's been going on. People pretending to be head priests of something. Ain't no priests. Priesthood's been dead. I know Ali was one of the last ones. Put in the Constitution that you're not Negro, black, colored, and these Moors are telling you that they're Muslims of color. Moors telling you that. Moors. These are Moors. These aren't okay. Let's just skip down here because let's just skip down here because I really don't think. Okay. If we are hoping and expecting divine and greater unity in our communities, then what better way than to start off with such unification than what you see right before you, said Brother Tyrone Davis Bay, who moderated the event. The very individuals that we are trying to unite, if they can see first here, then it can trickle into the community and build up a nation. What are you talking about? You're Moors. We have a nation already. What do you mean? Hold on a second. You're a Moorish American, and you have a nation. This is how you know that people had their tongue tied. You can't go on the stage and say certain stuff because this is not your pulpit. This other guy's pulpit. Bringing you on, so you have to, be humble. Not like with Moors, we just open the floodgates. Moors say whatever they want if you got something to say. Not holding your hand. We're not putting a leash on you. You can't say certain stuff. Now remember, their perspective is look at us on the stage. We're united. But only the more science people have nationality, and then everybody else is probably stateless. You're playing you like a dumbass, and you're falling for it just because you think that you're Negro, black, and colored. Call for unity. That's going to trickle down, and then we could have a nation and all that stuff. Okay, unity. Page 1703. Unity. In the law of estates, the peculiar characteristic of an estate held by several in joint tenancy, in which is fourfold: unity of interest, unity of title, unity of time, and unity of possession. Unity of interest. We've been denationalized as a people, and we were given back our nationality. Nationality is tied to land. Nationality is tied to land. So now you have interest. Now, what the hell is the land? If our nationality is Moorish American, and we're descendants of Moroccans born in America, then what's our land if we have a nationality? Unity of title. El Bede Al Ali. The Moorish titles that tie you to this land. Unity of time. Noble Drew Ali told the Moors the flag's been here 50,000 years. It's a time reference with regard to the flag, which is also tied to nationality, which is also tied to land. Unity of possession. We're not Negro, black, colored. Property can't own property. In order to even say anything with regard to possession, you have to have a nationality, which is tied to a flag, which is tied to a time frame, which is tied to the nation, which is tied to the law of estates. So don't tell me any BS about unity with some Muslims that are Negro, black, and colored Muslims, and you want unity. Because the peculiar characteristic of an estate held by several in joint tenancy is fourfold. And colored Muslims have no unity of interest, no unity of title, no unity of time, and no unity of possession because they're property already. And property can't own property. Don't get mad. That's what it is, according to law. And not some European made it up or whatever, because we taught the European. You know that, Negro black guys. Stop the BS. You know we taught him. He ain't or original of something. Stop the BS. In other words, joint tenants have one and the same interests. Nationality. One and the same interest. We know who a prophet is. We know what our religion is. We know what our nationality is. We know what our flag is. We know what our free national names are. We know what our constitution is. Joint tenants having one and the same interests. We all know what fezzes are, turbans are. We all know Moorish American prayer. We all know Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation. We all know Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple or Moorish Temple of Science that was founded in 1913 with Old Canaanite Temple, not Moorish Science Temple in 1913. Having one and the same interests, accruing by one and the same conveyance, commencing at one and the same time, and held by one and the same undivided possession. Remember, this is unity. Unity is not hold hands and sing songs. Unity is not go on the podium with some other people on the stage that are of different religious orders and talking about, look at us on the stage, we're united. That's not unity. Unity is what we read right here. According to law. If you don't deal with law, then hey, do your colored stuff. Do your colored whatever. Go right ahead. Brother R. Jones Bay, Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated, told the gathering, "You must be the message that you bring. I can't lead anybody being a hypocrite, and if you are going to be real, it has to begin with you." Oh, I was like, so no Jolly said we're not Negro black colored. And on the temple floor, yeah, Negro black colored. But then when you go to the gathering of the Muslims of color, you're colored. That's hypocrisy. That's hypocrisy in its highest form. Because these people know better. He's a grand sheik. What do you mean they don't know? That's the grand sheik talking. You play all your stuff. Telling you. Telling you. Let them play all your stuff because everybody's claiming their stuff while you're playing jackass. Here's a peek inside Madonna's newly purchased 18th century Moorish revival mansion in Portugal. What you got Moorish mansion in Portugal for? Why? Just bored. She's just bored. So she just of all the buildings in Portugal, she wants a Moorish revival castle. Go ask Negroes what they're buying, what kind of stuff they're buying to live in. All your Negro entertainer leader whoever's, could you do me a favor and go ask them what are they buying to live in? Because you notice that Madonna, she's going for the Moorish revival look, where she wants to live at. And you already know that she's a witch and she's taking all this energy. Keep playing. Just because you people want to be colored Muslims, you're really content being colored Muslims, while these people are claiming your whole estate that you have no jurisdiction in because you have no unity. Because unity is tied to nationality. This is the fact here. It's Moorish history. And our people, as usual, abandoning their own stuff. Abandoning their own stuff. Remember, it's Portugal. This is a European spot. This European spot has something like this still there. That you never ever heard about this stuff before. If Madonna didn't buy this house, you wouldn't know about this is here. Only because Madonna bought this, we know that this is here. So how much of these are out there really? Because this is pretty in good shape. This is not run down. Like, why go for the Moorish revival spot? You bored? She just has 7 million just to do nothing, so I'm just gonna buy a Moorish. You're not gonna go buy some European whatever. Because you already know that European high nobility dressed up as Moors and Africans and Ethiopians or whatever. They pretended and still do today in their lodges and all that stuff. They pretend to be us and rule the world, dressing up like Moors in secret. and rule the world. And Negroes can't get stuff together because they want to be colored Muslims. And they have a nationality. And people with a nationality are telling them, yeah, let's be colored Muslims and let's trickle this down into the community so they can see that we're united as colored Muslims. It's sell you out time right now. Keep playing. Keep playing. Vampire's not getting me. I'll tell you that right now. They're not getting me. And any of the other Moors who know what's up. It is hardly common knowledge that European high nobility like to dress up as Moor, Ethiopian, African, or African continent. Dress up like us. That's something they just start doing. They've been doing this. A record such as festivities organized to celebrate a baptism in Stuttgart in 1616 is provided by the print book Repro, whatever that is, from 1617. Some of the prints were produced by the Dutch draftsman, print artist, and goldsmith Esaias van Hulsen, 1570-1625, who was employed by the court of Wittenberg. The festivities and the print book were commissioned by Duke Johann Frederick of Wittenberg, 1582-1628, who had allied himself with the Protestant rulers of Europe. The prints, which represent the ballet, the feast, and the tournament, incorporate various black figures. An intriguing print in the Representatio is that of the Tanz der Nationen, Dance of the Nation, showing 4 large heads, one of which is a black Moors wearing a bandana. According to the caption that accompanies the print, a Moorish dance with an Ethiopian jump or cartwheel was performed before these heads. Black or Moor, not Israelite, nothing like that. No, not an ancient Egyptian, whatever. The anthropologist Monica Furla has discovered through documentary research that the part of the dancing Moor who executed the Ethiopian Spring was playing by none other than Duke Johann Friedrich himself. The print depicts the Duke with a bare torso and feather headdress, taking a run up to his cartwheel. Johann Friedrich thus chose to take on the character of a dancing, exotic, half-naked black man. So the roles were briefly reversed, a not usual occurrence at court festivities. Dressing up like you, Moors. People are playing that they don't know what Moors. What's that? The wife of Frederick V of the Palatinate, the man with the natural Ethiopian in his retinue, was Elizabeth Stuart, 1596 to 1622, daughter of the English Queen of Denmark. She's not European, modern European. She might be European, actually. She's definitely a Moor. Hands down, she's a Moor. Dark skin. 1617, Anne of Denmark had herself portrayed with a black page by the Flemish artist Paul van Sommer, 1576 to 1621, thereby becoming one of the first Northern European nobles to be depicted with a black companion. The page is conspicuously larger than the queen is in the portrait. All they do, dress up like Moors. Traces of Moorish influence on Spain survive in New Mexico. Oh, we weren't over here. No Moors here, just the Indian guys. The first conquistadors in the New World were instructed by the Spanish king to keep a lookout for mosques and the Muslim priests. They already knew what they were getting into when they started coming over here. It was 1591? They're doing their thing. When Cortez conquered the Aztecs, 1519 to 1521, he reported to his sovereign in Spain, "We discovered many mosques which they have in these parts." Why does Aztecs have mosques for? How come they conquered the Aztecs, but they're talking about there was mosques everywhere? Hold on a second. So they never said Aztecs were Muslim or whatever before. Why they have mosques? Remember, he's coming from somewhere where there were mosques there. And then he came here, and the first thing that he saw, he said, "Whoa, those are the mosques?" By mosque, Cortez meant the huge stone temples of the Aztec Indians. Of course, the buildings had nothing to do with Islam. Why wouldn't they have anything to do with peace? Well, I understand the Aztecs were peaceful people. So why would their buildings have nothing to do with Islam? Are people making Islam to be something other than meaning peace? Oh, apologies, more. Santa Fe, newmexican.com. That Europe dressing up like Moors article. Esther Schroeder, right here. EstherSchroeder.wordpress.com. And WashingtonInformer.com for the Muslims of color. Unity BS. Still, Spaniards continue making this mistake to the end of the 16th century. An example comes from the Castano de Sosa expedition during its ramble through New Mexico. At Jacona Pueblo, west of Pojoac, the newcomers observed a big round house containing many idols. It sat in the center of the large plaza. Wrote Castano de Sosa, "We understood this structure to be a mosque. Today, buildings like that are called kivas." Spanish confusion in this matter was grounded in centuries of medieval warfare between Christians and Muslims on the Iberian Peninsula. In the year 711, armies of Islamic Moors invaded southern Spain from Africa. Ain't no Spain in 711. No Spain in 711. No Africa. They soon seized the country, except for the rugged mountains of Asturias in the far north. There, a band of sturdy Spaniards handed the Moors their first defeat at Cavadonga in 722. Slowly over the next 700 years, the invaders were driven southward until the last Moorish subkingdom of Granada fell in 1492 to the Christian forces. And as we know, it didn't fall. Moor gave up the key. Just gave up the key. Let me tell you, always our own, on our side of the nation, that claim it was only a joke and unreal. The first explorers and colonists on the upper Rio Grande drew a parallel between their own experiences and the crusading efforts of their grandfathers in Spain. They drew a parallel between their own experiences and the crusading efforts of their grandfathers in Spain. So clearly they're not separating the history. How come the Negroes and stuff separate the stuff? How come the Europeans will say, yeah, we conquered the Moors in Spain, so the Moors in America, we will deal with them because the same people start talking to our people. Every reason why they're not. For instance, the Pueblos here, like the Moors, were non-Christians, that is, infidels. The Hispanic settlers therefore tended to note the similarities between Indians and Muslims. Note the similarities between Indians and Muslims. Why would there be similarities between Indian and Muslim? Because both those are fraud. There's no such thing as Muslims, no such thing as Indians. The Pueblos here, like Moors. For instance, they said some of the Native Americans shot arrows from bows that looked like those of the Moors. Some of the Native Americans shot from arrows and bows that looked like the Moors. So that would mean that the Moors would have predated the Native Americans. So anybody who's claiming that they're Native American or Black Indian or whatever, they're later. Because we had the bow and arrows, the Moors. Native Americans came later. Others painted or tattooed their chins in the fashion of Moorish women. Pedro de Cantaneda traveled with Coronado in 1540, described the Apaches on New Mexico's eastern plains. He declared, "They go about like the Arabs with their tents and troops of dogs, which carry Moorish pack saddles with girths." No, this is not us, not Moors talking. It's what's out there. We say that we're Moors, we're just letting you know, hey, this is what. In August 1690, Captain Pedro de Leyva at El Paso, then part of New Mexico, received word of the bloody Pueblo revolt upriver. He sent word to the viceroy in Mexico City, saying, "We have determined, few as we are, to attempt to liberate upper New Mexico, as did those of Cavadonga against the Moorish dogs." So either the infidels, the Moorish dogs. That's how they saw you when it was time to conquer. When it was time to beat their ass, just like their forefathers in Spain, who just gave up the key. We know what's over here. And we will claim colonizer and conquistador and all of that. Because they know what they did to us. For us to be in this place right now where we're claiming Muslims of color for unity, these Europeans knew exactly what they're doing. They knew exactly why they had to reconstruct history. To keep the people not even putting this thing together. And the word's out there. In clothing, the rebozo or Spanish shawl is considered a remnant of the Moorish woman's veil, for all the mothers out there. For all the mothers that wear their turbans religiously, all the mothers who hold up the standard that was laid down by their ancient foremothers that they still hold on to. Let's do another shout out for the good brother Jeremy Samuel, Moorish Essence of Pensacola, a legacy of exploration and cultural exchange from Estevancio de Tristan de Luna, Jeremy Samuel. Page 10. South of Granada is the downtown historic district called Seville. Much like the Seville of Moorish Spain, is a hub for art, music, and festivals like the Estevancio International Festival and the Festival of the Five Flags. Similar to the Granada residential area, Seville was also historically a quote-unquote black district. In Seville, the oldest neighborhood of Pensacola, Julie Panton owned a cottage as a free woman of color. Panton acquired the cottage for $300. She sold candles and pastries at the cottage. In June of 1809, Julie sold half of lot 65 to Angelica, a free black woman, for $41.50. Julie Panton sold the remaining half to Francisco Cassini, a free mulatto man, for $212. Julie Panton was in the population of free people of color who lived in Pensacola under Spanish occupation. These quote-unquote free people of color conducted business on Palafox Street until the Jim Crow law was implemented and they were forced out. A large segment of the Pensacola downtown area consisted of Moorish descendants who built an economic infrastructure that produced prominent quote-unquote black business people. They established banks, building and loan associations, trust companies, pharmacies, insurance companies, schools, and grocery stores, etc. They resided in much of the waterfront property along Pensacola Bay, like the Tan Yards, Hawkshaw, and Aragon Courts. Moreover, another aspect of the Moorish essence of Pensacola is found in the lineage of Tristan de Luna, a conquistador who founded the first European settlement in North America at Pensacola. The settlement was called Santa Maria, yet it was short-lived due to its destruction by a hurricane. 100 Moors came to De Luna's fleet to Pensacola and were left behind to fend for themselves after De Luna went back to Mexico. De Luna was born in the Moorish province of Borobia in northern Spain. He was of a Castilian family of the Borobia estates, Unity, right? The Borobia estates in the villas of Sisia and Borobia in Al-Andalus. The De Luna estates in Borobia yielded annually the revenue of about 3 million maravedis. And a maravedi, M-A-R-A-V-E-D-I, is an Almoravid coin. So you can do a check on the Moorish essence of Pensacola with a Samuel, Jeremy Samuel. Laser scans reveal Maya megalopolis below Guatemalan jungle. A vast interconnected network of ancient cities was home to millions more people than previously thought. Oh, interesting. Interesting. And what's being hailed as a major breakthrough in Maya archaeology, researchers have identified the ruins of more than 60,000 houses, palaces, elevated highways, the other human-made features that have been hidden for centuries under the jungles of northern Guatemala. Using a revolutionary technology, for all the techies out there, Using a revolutionary technology known as LIDAR, light detection and ranging, scholars digitally removed the tree canopy from aerial images of the now unpopulated landscape, revealing the ruins of a sprawling pre-Columbian civilization that was far more complex and interconnected than most Maya specialists had supposed. Well, they block stuff, so that's why you can't play it. Mapping the Maya world. Researchers using aerial LIDAR sensing equipment targeted 10 parcels, 10 parcels within Guatemala's Maya Biosphere Reserve. Their discoveries are revealing previously unknown areas of Maya cities. The results suggest that Central America supported an advanced civilization that was at its peak some 12,000 years ago, more comparable to sophisticated cultures such as ancient Greece or China than to the scattered and sparsely populated cities that ground-based research had long suggested. You already know over here they were on some supreme knowledge on this side. No, they were on supreme knowledge on this side if they had it locked up like that. For a fact. And if they're on that high level of knowledge, I mean, hey, who's to say that stuff didn't start on this side? We're there, never know. But research is showing you we've been here. And these people who came after us are the foreigners.
Virginia Company. The Virginia Company refers collectively to a joint stock company chartered by James I on the 10th of April, 1606, with the purposes of establishing settlements on the coast of North America. Two companies called the Virginia Company of London, or the London Company, and the Virginia Company of Plymouth, or Plymouth Company, operated with identical charters but with differing territories. An area of overlapping territory was created within which the two companies were not permitted to establish colonies within 100 miles of each other. The Plymouth Company never fulfilled its charter, and its territory, that later became New England, was at that time also claimed by England. As corporations, the companies were empowered by the Crown to govern themselves, and they ultimately granted the same privilege to their colony. In 1624, the Virginia Company failed. However, its grant of self-government to the colony was not revoked, and either from apathy, indecision, or deliberate purpose, the Crown allowed the system to continue. The principle was thus established that a royal colony should be self-governing, and this formed the genesis of democracy in America. Subarticle, the Plymouth Company. The Plymouth Company was permitted to establish settlements between the 38th parallel and the 45th parallel, roughly between the upper reaches of the Chesapeake Bay and the current U.S.-Canada border. On the 13th of August, 1607, the Plymouth Company established the Popham Colony along the Kennebec River in present-day Maine. However, it was abandoned after about 1 year, and the Plymouth Company became inactive. With the religious pilgrims who arrived aboard the Mayflower, a successor company to the Plymouth Company eventually established a permanent settlement in Plymouth, Massachusetts in 1620 in what is now New England, the London Company. And I should mention that both the Plymouth Company article, which I just read, has a main article, which I'd like to read later, and so does this next subheading, the London Company. By the terms of the charter, the London Company was permitted to establish a colony of 100 miles square between the 34th parallel and the 41st parallel, approximately between Cape Fear and Long Island South, and also owned a large portion of Atlantic Ocean and inland Canada. On the 14th of May, 1607, the London Company established the Jamestown settlement, about 40 miles inland along the James River, a major tributary of the Chesapeake Bay in present-day Virginia. The future of the settlement of Jamestown was precarious for its first 5 years. The president of the Third Jamestown Council, Captain John Smith, was both a strong leader and a good diplomat who was able to form a positive relationship with the Native Americans. In 1620, George Calvert asked King James I for a charter for English Catholics to add the territory of the Plymouth Company. Also in 1609, a much larger third supply mission was organized, Rushed into service without the customary sea trials, the new purpose-built ship, the Sea Venture, became flagship of the fleet of 9 ships, with most of the leaders' food and supplies aboard. Notable persons aboard the Sea Venture included the Admiral of the Fleet, George Somers, Vice Admiral Christopher Newport, the new governor for the Virginia colony, Sir Thomas Gates, future author William Starchy, and businessman John Rolfe with his pregnant wife. The third supply convoy encountered a massive storm believed to have been a hurricane, which lasted 3 days and separated them. The Sea Venture was leaking seawater through its new caulking, and Admiral George Somers had it driven aground on a reef to avoid sinking, saving 150 men and women and several dogs, but destroying their ship. The uninhabited archipelago was officially named the Somers Isles, after Admiral Somers, though it was known as Bermuda. From salvaged parts of the Sea Venture, the survivors built 2 smaller vessels, Deliverance and Patience. 10 months later, they continued to Jamestown, leaving several men behind on the archipelago to establish possession of it. Arriving at Jamestown on the 23rd of May, 1610, they found that over 85% of the 500 colonists had perished during what became known as the starving time.
85%? How is it that we're still not the majority yet? Wherever. How is that these Europeans gotta have their own problems? Just like everybody else in the world, they got their own problems. But eventually they get stuff together. Eventually it starts clicking. All because of nationality. Trust it is because of nationality. It's because of being tied to the Moors. Trust it. Meghan Markle, Queen Charlotte, being put in the same sentence. They really know. They really know. But some historians who have researched this question say Charlotte was of African descent and was Britain's first black royal. Historian Mario de Valdez Yococom argues that Charlotte was directly descendant from a black branch of the Portuguese royal family, Alfonso III and his concubine, Oruana, a black Moor. A black Moor. In the 13th century, Alfonso III of Portugal conquered a little town named Faro from the Moors. A little town named Faro. The Moors had a town named Faro. And you see the town playing around, like, change their name and say that they're ancient Egyptian and stuff like that. They're MMA fighter and stuff. When they're really a town. A town of the Moors is called Faro. Because you remember a town of the Moors called Faro. Muslims were banned from the Americas. Why? Why? How you bring people here and then you ban them from here? All this is games. Because everybody knows we're the dummies. But they keep playing the game. Keep playing the colored and the foolishness. And we never get real. Stay lost. Stay lost. Like we said, Moors study. That's just what Moors do. They just do research, find things out. Doing their research, finding things out. John Smith, man of adventure. Miriam E. Mason. They had made very strict rules about the place where the colony should be planted. The colony must be placed 100 miles up some river so that Spaniards cannot attack it from the sea. Like some books. Although King James and the London Company, so you know it's in books, not more as propaganda, trying to whatever, convince you of something. No. Will that these people wake up? Will that you wake up? You already know. Going on to that time. Going on to that time. MHHS, eyes wide open. 319-527-6751. 319-527-6751. 425-569-5201. 425 569-5201, blogtalkradio.com/MHHS Eyes Wide Open. Peace and love to all Moors worldwide. Keep studying your history about the Moors. Keep studying yourself. Keep putting it out there. Keep putting it out there, Moors. The world is finding out more and more. I want to give supreme honors to all Moors. Supreme thanks to all the Moabites. Give honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Praise is due to Allah. And again, thanks to all the Moors. Don't forget, no class this Sunday. We're going to be down at the Brickworks, just enjoying outdoors for a few hours instead of being inside. Honors again to all the Moors, everywhere, wherever you're at. Peace and love to you. Islam.
So Stang, turn my phones up a bit. Ain't nothing changed, it's the same. You still skylarking, most got stepdaddy like Harden. They harden, fixed in their ways, they too hardened. Some got convictions, even if they apply. They the victims, ain't getting no pardon. Almanac is in the pen, middle finger to the warden. Free your mind, even though your body barred in. This war that I'm starting, might not want no pardon. Scared, stay far then. I'm prepared and handing my card in. What they wanna call black is soot. Burnish bronze on the foot, charred in. Hydrogen molecule with the carbon. If you dare take a walk through the garden, center stage for the role that I'm starting. I'm more in Black Knight like Martin. Soar, take flight like a Martian. Outdoor gladiator, Spartan. Still polite, a gentleman, charming. Presence like the Red Sea when it's parting. Kundalini energy when I'm charging. Like power and the force of a car wind. You know the type when you gotta keep your arm in. Why fight when you know saying no? We never ever could compare. Let's make it clear. From day one to day done, I'm here. I never fear. You never ever could compare. Let's make it clear. Been running this from year to year. I stay prepared. Top ranking, top charting. We have it by the sticks, crates, and the carton. The highest grade of the strain that I'm sparking. Up late nights, Johnny Carson. Early mornings, remember starving, engraved in my mind. Carved in or running in the past. No harping, don't be afraid or alarmed by the barking. Keep it close by a very thin margin. Shadow box with a little bit of sparring. Cage fights when you fence, then you barbing. No cavalry, desperado charging. Never ever could compare. Let's make it clear. From day one to day done, I'm here. I never fear. You never ever could compare. Let's make it clear. Been running this from year to year. I stay prepared. Clean up your heart, don't come. Cleansing the fire, don't burn. Keep up the peace, don't run. Empty out when it's out, gotta go. Clean up your heart, don't come. Cleansing the fire, don't burn. Keep up the peace, don't run. Empty out when it's out, gotta go.